spot, baby. You're in the sweet spot, girl. You're in the sweet spot, darling. It's a magical kingdom in a mixed up world. You're in the sweet spot, baby. You're in the sweet spot, girl. You're in the sweet spot, darling. It's a magical kingdom in a mixed up world.
Welcome to the Sweet Spot Podcast. My name is Lynn, your host, and Ken's my co-host. Ken, how's it going?
Oh, Lynn, it is going. I'm so happy to be here and looking forward to this episode of the Sweet Spot Podcast.
Yes, and Ken and I are both former Disneyland Custodial cast members, and we host the #1 Disneyland podcast, hosted by two former custodians.
Number one.
Yes. This is episode 351.
What? That is hard to believe, Lynn. 351. You've put in a lot of hard work, Lynn. So
you do too.
I'm glad to be your special guest host.
Yes. We are also authors of the two books, both called Cleaning the Kingdom. There's two different volumes, different content in each one. And you can get autographed copies on our website, thesweetspot.com. You can also get audiobooks, both of those books on audio, on a USB drive, signed by both of us, with bonus content on them, at our website, thesweetspot.com. You can also get all of our books on Amazon, non-signed. You can get both of our audiobooks on Audible and where audiobooks are found also. That's a lot, Ken.
Wow.
Also, you can join our Patreon if you want to help support the show, be a part of what we're doing. And by doing that, you get one bonus episode per month delivered to you through Patreon. It's usually about 30 minutes. And we talk about various things surrounding Disneyland. It's a bonus episode you can only get through Patreon. And then, as part of doing that, you also get to participate in our Current Events Live, where you get to leave a comment and listen as we record. So you definitely want to sign up for that. And that's if you give $5 or more per month. You can always give more if you want. Some people do. They just feel the urge they want to, and that's totally fine. But you can only give, if you can only give $5 and you want that content, you can. We also have some people that give below $5. They would give $1, and we thank them very much for that. So I'm not going to beg or anything. It's just something that's there in case you want to help us. I think that's going to do it. We have a really good show coming up. We have some friends that are coming on the show from another podcast, and I think you're going to really enjoy our discussion that we have. So let's get on with the rest of the show.
Hello everyone, this is Eric Johnson with Conceit Ears, and welcome to the D180. While Ken and Lynn cover all things Disneyland, in the D180 we take a spin around the rest of the Disney universe, and we do it in 180 seconds. Let's jump right in. We start our journey in Walt Disney World, where it's high time you started planning a trip to a galaxy far, far away. Also, plan a trip to Central Florida at the same time. That's right, Disney is finally offering some discounts on the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser starting this February and running through September. The main caveat is you have to have a Disney Resort hotel stay before or after your trip abroad. We recommend staying at a Disney hotel before or after your trip anyway. Disney is great about getting your luggage where it needs to go with minimal effort from you. And why not? You're spending 2 nights at one of the most immersive and exciting destinations in Walt Disney World. Here's the deal. Your galactic cruise encompasses 2 glorious nights of interplanetary fun. When you spend 2 more nights at a Disney resort, save up to $700 on your room. Get 2 more nights to explore the rest of Walt Disney World at a pretty nice discount. There are plenty of specific nights when this trip doesn't apply, so check the fine print before you book your trip. If you need some extra incentive to visit the earthly Disney parks, how about a return of some favorite guest interactions? Ariel, the Little Mermaid herself, returns to her grotto in the Magic Kingdom on January 22nd. Belle's fun story location, Enchanted Tales with Belle, opens up on February 19th. Both of these experiences allow you to meet these princesses on their home turf, and both will be offered on the Genie Plus service, giving you a little extra value out of that purchase. Let's hop across the pond to Disneyland Paris, where their 30th anniversary celebration continues. To further celebrate this occasion and highlight the new Avengers campus at the resort, the parks roll out a new nighttime spectacular on January 28th. Until May 8th, 2023, you can see this new show featuring all of your favorite Marvel characters. The new show marks the first appearance of Shang-Chi in Paris, with Captain America, Captain Marvel, Scarlet Witch, and many other Marvel heroes. You can expect a massive new spectacular with all of the best effects. Newly reorchestrated Marvel themes, projection effects, fireworks, you name it. Disneyland Paris also doubles down on its groundbreaking drone effects with new skybound animations that illustrate the icons of Marvel heroes using up to 500 drones. This is a huge deal, folks. Disneyland Paris is making big strides with their nighttime spectaculars, and you might want to think about heading over to see for yourself. Another Disney anniversary is coming up soon, and we're getting a little more detail. Join in as the Disney Cruise Line turns 25 this summer. All 5 of the cruise line's ships will host special celebrations from May through September during their silver anniversary at sea. Expect new fireworks shows on most of the sailings to the Bahamas, Caribbean, and Mediterranean destinations. Join the ship's captain for a toast with special appearances of Mickey and Minnie in costumes for the occasion. And for those who have sailed with the cruise line multiple times, expect a special commemorative gift sent to your stateroom. There are still plenty of sailings open during this summer session. Some of these last-minute trips even come with discounted rates. Check out the options and see if you can resist planning another Disney trip this year. And that's 180 seconds. I hope you enjoyed our quick spin around the rest of the Disney universe. If you'd like to learn more about these Disney adventures or just have a few questions, please come on over. Visit the social media and websites of both the Sweep Spot and us, their official travel planners, concierges. We look forward to planning something special for you and your family. I'm Eric Johnson, and this has been your D180.
Plan your next getaway vacation to a Disney destination by contacting our friends at Concierge, our magical travel and vacation planning partners.
Whether you're going to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, a Disney cruise, Disney's Aulani in Hawaii, or Adventures by Disney, contact the people who specialize in Disney. Want to visit Universal? Concierge can help you with that too. It's not going to add any cost to your vacation. Go to concierge.com, that is CONCIEARS.com, like concierge and mouse ears, because they are your travel concierge to Disney, with you every step of the way.
They can get you reservations, update you on changes, conditions, and take away the stress of planning a vacation. Let them do the heavy lifting.
I send my own mother to Concierge. We like them so much, Lynn works with them. I wouldn't plan another Disney vacation without going to Concierge.
Mention the Sweep Spot when you book a package with them, like a week on a Disney cruise or a hotel stay with theme park admission tickets, and get a special gift.
Now let's join the crowd passing through the tunnels of the main entrance for a day in Disneyland. And this is where the world of today is left behind. For now we enter the land of yesterday and tomorrow, and of course the land of fantasy.
Okay, on this episode, we're going to do something a little different. And because I'm a fan of podcasts, and I know podcasters because of that, there's a podcast out there called The Hub Crawl, and has 2 of my friends on there, Tage and Erick, and I thought it'd be a good idea to do their format the way they do it as a show, because I really enjoy that. And I was a guest on their show twice, I believe. And so I wanted to do that on our show, but just do it like Disneyland style, Sweet Spot style too. So wanted to welcome Tage to the show. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And Eric. Everyone knows Eric's voice.
I suppose they probably do. I'm already. I don't know where we are in the show at this point, but you probably already heard my voice earlier.
The voice of the D180.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, like I said, I really enjoy the format that you guys came up with and the style. It makes it fun.
So I feel like I want to clarify for your listeners to make sure that we give credit where credit is due. So in kind of, I don't know, Eric's probably shut up, Tage. But we cannot take credit for this format. There is another podcast I listen to that has similar format to this that I was like, I should adapt this for Disneyland. It'd be so cool because it's a tech-focused podcast. So shout out to Clockwise, who did this first. But we've done it, and we've gotten rid of the 30-minute limit, which I think we determined after a couple episodes that it is impossible to talk about Disney for just 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think it was almost literally after 2 episodes we pitched that.
Well, and we got feedback from listeners that were like, stop trying to limit it to 30 minutes. It's like, all right.
True, yeah. It kind of limits you and where you can go with the conversation. So, in case you're wondering what the style is that I'm speaking of, so what we do is everyone brings a question to the show, and then we kind of discuss each other's question, and makes it fun. And so I think we'll just, unless I'm forgetting something, I think we'll just get right into it. So the first question comes from Eric.
All right. So we're all podcasters here. We've done a bunch of interviews with various Disney celebrities. I'm almost ashamed to say, because I've interviewed so few compared to Tage, and then compared to the Sweep Spot, you guys have been talking to people for so many years, and it's one of the reasons I love your show and have been listening to it for probably longer than any other Disney podcast. But all that being said, what Disney celebrity would you most like to interview? Is there anybody left on that bucket list?
So they have to be alive.
Let's start out with
right.
Yeah, let's start with Ken.
Well, you could, if they're not alive, you could try interviewing them. But I don't know if that's going to work. It'd make the news a lot if they answered.
Just read off the Ouija board as it's going around. Yeah.
That would be a very slow interview.
2 hours for sure. All right, so Ken, let's start off with you.
Which Disney celebrity would I like to interview?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm thinking probably Michael Eisner.
Oh, yeah.
If I could brag a little bit, I would. It's a little selfish because I would say I was thinking at first, I was thinking, I'd like to. We've had him on the podcast before, but Tony Baxter, and I'd like him to talk like he talks in private, because he's just such a fountain of ideas and creativity. But being selfish, I get to do that already. So I'd like to. I've never been able to get Michael Eisner privately, so I'd like to get him publicly on our podcast and talk with him now that he's had all this time since he was ousted from Disney, and just get him to talk.
Wow.
Do you think he's part of a support group with Bob Chapek right now?
Oh, they're consoling themselves with their warehouses full of cash.
Yeah, I guess we can't feel too bad for them.
No.
Ken, I feel like you stole my answer, because I know you guys have had Tony Baxter on your show, but I would love to, not even on a podcast, I would love to literally just meet the man. He one of my favorite attractions at Disneyland is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Of course, I love Indiana Jones, and he was instrumental in both of those. I actually did not know this, or maybe I did and I had forgotten even. But we actually just had a guest on that was telling us about how he was responsible for kind of saving the treehouse because they were thinking about tearing it down or something. And Tony Baxter was like, no. We'll put a cheap Tarzan overlay on it and it'll be great. And that kind of saved it, I guess, when they were trying to get rid of it, which I did not know. So Tony Baxter would be an amazing Disney celebrity that I would love to interview. And I would have also said Bob Gurr. We have not interviewed him, but I have spoken to him at a Disneyana event, and that was also pretty amazing. He was the very first time that I saw Bob Gurr was not how I ever expected to see Bob Gurr, which is we showed up at the hotel for this Disneyana event a little early, and there was this gentleman in a like zip around scooter. And I turned to Teresa and I go, "Is that Bob Gurr? Is he at us? I thought he was more energetic and spry than this. Like I didn't expect to see him in a scooter." And he just kind of hung out in the scooter. Well, in his presentation, he's consulting for a scooter company to try to design a better scooter. So he was part of his research for this was, eating their own dog food, if you will, of trying to figure out, what does a scooter not have that it should have, and etc. So, but he's pretty cool. But Tony Baxter for sure, and I'm envious that you get and Ken, I'm envious that you've heard him off the record talk about stuff because that sounds delightful.
Well, he's still such a fan of Disney and theme parks and movies and stuff, and he's just got so many ideas about all of it and observations about it. Like, he'll talk about the story of a movie and why it works or where the weak part is or whatever. And it's just like, it's nonstop. And you realize this guy's just got a kind of a different brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Lynn?
I would like to interview Richard Sherman. I've tried a few times, and just I'm a big music fan, and he's got to have some amazing stories, with Walt. And over the years, for sure. It's still possible, but time is running out here. I'd just like to hear a lot of his stories with, just the different people that he worked with, Julie Andrews, and that's another one that would be good. But I've seen him do presentations. Ken and I got to see him we got to see both the brothers do one. That was in 98, 99. And that was amazing. But I'd like to sit down one-on-one with them and talk.
Have I shared on the podcast my personal story about how Richard and Robert Sherman's music played a huge part in our lives? Have I? I don't know if I've done that on the podcast yet.
Maybe. I don't know if you told me.
I probably mentioned it on Twitter, but okay. I'll nutshell this. Okay, Everybody, just sit around the campfire here for a second.
All right.
Okay. Years ago, there was a 9-year-old girl who got mysteriously ill and started losing all her energy, muscle coordination. Everybody, they didn't know why, and everybody just figured she was going to die, right? And she had trouble falling asleep because she didn't know if she's going to wake up. Well, she liked the Happiest Millionaire movie, and her sister would sing to her Fortuosity to help her go to sleep because she desperately needed her sleep, And so that would sing her to sleep. And after about 15 months of this illness, and part of the symptom was muteness. She couldn't talk. She woke up singing along to her clock radio. So her speech had gotten restored just kind of altered a little bit. And she made a recovery enough to grow up, become a registered nurse to work pediatrics, marry me, and have 2 kids.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so it was because of the song Fortuosity. And so I would love to have Richard Sherman on and talk about that.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. Wow.
That's a great story.
Now,
Well,
whose turn is it
How
now?
could we possibly compete with that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm-
I
You
can't.
can, because we want to know who do you want to interview?
yeah, Eric.
Well, I'm the last one left here, and Teg already kind of mentioned him. I'd love to meet Bob Gurr. I mean, everybody here sounds like a great opportunity. I'd love to interview any of these people, or just, again, spend some time with them. Something about Bob Gurr, for him being so full of energy and so full of life, and everything I've heard about him, he's so positive. This is a man who came in and learned about doing the job on the job. They said, "You're interested in this? Great. Figure out how to do it," which is a classic Disneyland trope, but still, he learned how to build these cars iteratively over time. When the Autopia cars broke down, he said, "Okay, I need to make a better one," and he did this for his entire career. I love it. I absolutely love that story. So that's the Disney celebrity I'd really, really love to interview at some point, or just hang out with for a day, half a day, an hour. That's where I'd go.
He's awesome, Eric.
yeah.
Well, that sounds great. All right. Normally we would just pass off to the next person here. So I guess let's go with a question from Ken.
Ooh, you want me to ask a question?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let me see here. If you could be any kind of tree. No, if you
Elm.
could have if sounds like a nightmare. If you could have any existing front line, so not an executive director or manager, any frontline job that currently exists in the entire Disneyland resort, what would you choose and why?
Who are you sending it to, Ken?
What?
Who do you want to answer first?
Oh, how about, go ahead, Lynn.
Okay. I would like to play drums in New Orleans.
Ooh.
So that's what I would like to do. I mean, it could happen, but I mean, maybe not at this point in my life, but it could have happened, I guess. But yeah, I would like
play
that.
the drums. So.
Yes. And I could play all sorts of styles with, and jazz, Dixieland, definitely. So, yeah, I think that would be cool. Talking to Jimmy Ford, who plays with the... Oh, I can't think of the name of the band right now. They play on Main Street. He, I've talked to him a lot, and he was telling me how it all works and everything, and I thought, that sounds really cool, You are not a millionaire out of it, but I don't think you are at any of the frontline jobs, so that would be mine. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
You do it for the love.
Exactly.
Lynn. You do it for the love.
Exactly. But you got to make a living, too.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I would do. Teg, how about you?
Well, this is tough. And honestly, I'm not just saying this because I'm on your show. I firmly believe this. I actually think the two of you and listening to your podcast have convinced me that being in custodial is the best job at the resort. Everything that you've described as your job, well, not everything, most everything you've described as your job sounds very appealing to me. The fact that you kind of have some autonomy to walk around, the fact that you have a lot of guest interaction, the fact that even nowadays now they have all these cool things. They kind of encourage you to, make like little leaf Mickeys or whatever. I've seen a few of those around. The fact that, you could potentially get called into almost any attraction to do different things, and the amount of access that you have as a custodial person to kind of go anywhere. I feel like that's almost the next best thing is being an executive or a director or manager, because you could go to all of those different places and you don't look out of place in any of those places. So, if you're somebody who works at a location that has a very specific costume and you're caught somewhere else, like, it's going to be pretty obvious that you're not supposed to be there. But custodial looks at home anywhere. So, and I like their outfit. I've always liked their outfit, the white outfit with the maroon, pack and everything. Yeah. And I worked at a movie theater for a long time, and we used the broom and dustpan and stuff, and I enjoyed that. In fact, I bought one for my house because I found that they're very efficient for sweeping and picking stuff up. So yeah, I think custodial is where it's at now. There's the glamour thing people always choose, like tour guides and stuff like that. But I think custodian, and then you don't have to deal with you still deal with guests, but you don't have to deal with the pompous folks that you might get being a VIP tour guide or something like that.
Yeah.
What about you, Eric? I'm excited to hear what you'd like to do. That's a frontline job.
Well, you're sucking up to the hosts here, huh? Oh,
no, seriously. You could ask Teresa off the show. I've said I think custodial. It just, like, I'm a curious person. It seems like it's the ability to be able to go and check all the stuff. So if you guys listening want to take that as me sucking up, whatever.
No, I completely agree. I mean, especially your two books really help give a lot of that perspective, and of course years of shows help give that perspective. It does sound like a blast. So taking a different tactic, because I figured somebody would bring this up, but I've always wanted to, for a long time I wanted to retire as a Jungle Cruise skipper, but I've had a change of heart.
Oh
yeah, now I want to be a Davy Crockett Explorer Canoe guy. So the reason why is you still get to tell the bad jokes. It feels like there's less oversight. Like, nobody pays attention to what happens on the canoes. There's so few. There's less of a line. It's less. The profile is smaller. There's more exercise. I really want to be the old man who's doing this, so I can show those 20-somethings up. The really ripped guys that are rowing all day long. I want to be the old man version of that.
I think you're onto something, Eric, about lack of oversight, because I feel like at the Jungle Cruise, it seems like they're always watching out to make sure you're not going too far off script. But what executive is going to get in a canoe?
Right, and that's the stories you hear. I hear it on DL Weekly. I hear it on Sweep Spot. When these skippers come on, they're these generations where there's a while where it seems like everybody's really watching the Jungle Cruise and clamping down on the jokes. And then there are years where they don't really care quite so much. I don't think they care quite as much about the canoes, and I'm in for that. All right, let's run up with Ken.
Oh, okay. Well, it is tempting to go with custodial again, but I told myself I can't choose that because, we got to do it. How about the guy who, and there's one guy who's been doing it for a long time. He drives the little fire truck down Main Street.
Oh, yeah.
Because what you're often doing is you're getting people when they're coming in, and you're getting people when they're getting ready to leave. And you're giving them a nice little drive down Main Street. And you're always getting to be right there in the literal center of the park, in the hub. It seems to me that would just be a wonderful little thing to do. And I've always been a good driver, so, not gonna run over anybody. So.
That was kind of a bucket list item, was to meet him and ride on the fire truck. Yeah. And I want to say 2 or 3 visits ago, by the way, his name is Steve Finley.
Yeah.
And he's been working at Disneyland for a long time. He started in 1984. And he was a great guy. He was super cool. And we talked because we knew about him, and we asked him about, what's it like kind of doing this, and how did he get, because most people don't just work one thing. He kind of is the fire truck guy, right? Like, how cool.
Yeah, he when we used to change into our costumes. Now I think they just wear them into work, but we had lockers where we changed, and his locker was down a few from mine, and we would chat now and then. But actually, he got to drive that fire truck in the Rose Parade this past year. They had it as part of the. I don't think it was the opening. I think it was the closing, something like that. But he got to drive the Disneyland fire truck in the Rose Parade.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned, I'm sorry to revert back, but you mentioned having a locker near him.
Yeah.
One of the guys I had a locker near for a while was one of the candy makers.
Oh yeah.
And so that's another thing I didn't even think of is probably because I didn't want to be stuck in one place on display. But he so whenever I would drop by the Candy Palace, whether as a guest or a cast member, and he was in there, I would wave to him, hey, how's it going? Because, that's another one of those jobs where you're on display, but you're getting to make candy, and everybody likes candy.
Yeah. For sure.
Oh, and it always smells so good. Although we just learned this last year from we took the Christmas tour thing that they just came out with, and they said that the room to make the candy canes, that candy room, has to be like 100 and something degrees.
Oh boy.
There's only like a 5 or 6 degree thing, and you look in seeing them do it and knowing that it's like 100 and something degrees in there, it's like, oh, okay.
Wow, yeah.
Wow.
That's something.
So Teresa got a candy cane and said, this tastes a little better now, knowing how much effort the cast members have to
A little
put
salty.
into it and deal with it.
Oh,
Right. Well, salty sweet, right? Who doesn't like salty sweet?
Yeah. True. All right, who's up next? Is that me? Ask a question?
Sure.
Sure. Okay. If you could visit Disneyland in any year, you could go back before you were born, it doesn't matter. What year would it be and why? Eric, we'll go with you first.
Oh, well, I put a lot of thought into this one, and despite the nostalgia and everything, I didn't go to Disneyland until my first time at Disneyland was in 2016.
Okay.
So I missed quite a lot of history, and bizarrely enough, I kind of want to go to the year 2000.
In the year 2000.
Can't get out of my head. I was just thinking about that too.
In the year 2000.
Oh.
Yeah.
But the rocket rods were flying. There's so much optimism for this new park across the Esplanade, and I hear it's going to be at least as good as a parking lot. But I was hoping there was an overlap, because as much as I would love to visit classic Disneyland, I was hoping there was an overlap between Superstar Limo and Rocket Rods, but there just wasn't.
Yeah.
I want to have experienced the calamity that so many others have experienced, so that I can share in that. But I can't. I never had the chance. I'll have to find some future calamities. But at least I can visit the year 2000, especially if I can come back knowing I at least got to ride the Rocket Rods and look across the way and go, wow, that park's going to be really good in another 20 years.
Yeah.
Eric, you might be angering a whole nother group of. They have a lot more listeners than we do. We're gonna get some angry letters.
No.
I love all of the Disney.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those things. I really love DCA now, and I love Disneyland. This is my new, my new thing that, I grew up with Disney World. So learning all about Disneyland and hearing about things that were so important to people at the time, this is all foreign to me. So I wish I could have experienced some of this stuff, because I experienced the birthday cake castle at Walt Disney World. I experienced a giant, Mickey hand with a wand above Spaceship Earth. I experienced the big hat at Hollywood Studios. So I had my own controversies on the East Coast, I missed out on the controversy on the West Coast, so I don't know. Maybe I'm pouring it on too thick sometimes, but I wish I had all of it.
I'm glad you clarified that, Eric, because I was concerned that you were picking all these weird tacky things. I'm like, these are things that you are like pointing out for Disney World. I'm like, didn't you ride or experience like, oh gosh, what's the attraction with the? Oh man, this is terrible. I'm not a Disney World person. In Epcot, it's where not missions. Yeah, it's where Mission Space is now.
Horizons.
Horizons. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, you know what? That's one of those crazy things. I wish I don't have clear memories of Horizons. I remember Spaceship Earth very clearly from when I was a kid. I don't remember Horizons, and everybody loves Horizons so much. This is
shocking to me.
And I have clearer memories of like Communicore. I remember Communicore like oh man, I loved both sides of Communicore, East and West. But Horizons, for some reason, it just didn't click. World of Motion, I remember. I don't know why. I've watched ride-throughs and I'm like, yeah, that looks like something I would have loved. Did I go on it? I don't know. The Living Seas. Oh, I remember watching the movie. I remember the movie so clearly. I remember the hydrolators. There's a ton of stuff I remember from when I was a kid over there in Epcot, and that's why Epcot remains one of my favorite places.
You're speaking another language.
Sorry, Ken's reacting. But yeah, those are things that for I guess for Disneyland people who are really focused on the West Coast, they missed out on a lot of this stuff. They hear all these stories, and everybody talks about Horizons, and that's one of those things that I can only live vicariously through videos, just like you, because I don't remember it. I mean, I remember going to Epcot. I just don't remember that for some reason. I'm sure I went on it. It just didn't click. Yeah. I don't mean to be controversial. I just want to,
No, I like it.
Gamut.
I like it.
You're like Jessica Rabbit. You were just drawn that way.
I remember her.
Of course you do.
Well, Ken, take the controversy off my shoulders, please.
For which year would I like to go back to? It's tempting to say Walt Disney would be there. I'm thinking 1975. And 1975, and I probably visited the park sometime in 1975, but I was like a couple years old. So, but that's when, you've got Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion and the Country Bears and the Rainbow Caverns Mine Train through Nature's Wonderland. I think you still have the Golden Horseshoe review. Still have all that stuff from the 1967 Tomorrowland. No Space Mountain
this
yet.
Difficult.
Not No Space Mountain yet, but America Sings and Adventure Through Inner Space and the original submarines. All of that stuff is there, and the old Fantasyland, which has Captain Hook's pirate ship. So it would be interesting to go back and see all that stuff. Yeah, and now who hasn't? I'm losing track here.
That's
who
all right.
hasn't?
It's
who
my
hasn't
turn.
given their year?
It's my turn. Ken, how do I follow that? You just gave me all of the great reasons to pick the same year that you picked, but I'll go with my initial thought, even though you've made a great argument to make me question my thinking here. I feel like something that I have a hard time wrapping my head around is Disneyland today versus Disneyland when it was new. So part of me wants to go back to 1955, but I feel like that might be too early. So I'm going to say probably 1960, 1959, because the Matterhorn would be there, the subs would be there, the Skyway would be there, all of these things I enjoy. The monorail would be there, which I enjoy. So I think I think that's what I would pick. I think I would pick sometime in the 60s because there's the possibility that I might see Walt Disney walking around. And just to kind of experience what Disneyland was like when it was new, because something I try to remind people of is we love Disneyland, and a lot of us have our experience of what it was like now, or even as far back as like the 80s. I remember going in the late 80s, and it doesn't seem, in a lot of ways, it doesn't seem too different from now. And I say that only as like foliage growing up and stuff like that. And I see pictures from early Disneyland, and people still thought it was so magical and amazing and wonderful, and there just wasn't as much there. And so I'd love to just go experience that version of it and kind of put things into perspective and truly understand for myself what it was like in the beginning. Because all of the stuff I see is, yeah, you know, Main Street's the same as it was back in the 50s, you know, visually for the most part, and the castle and everything. But, you know, even like Jungle Cruise probably didn't have a full grown, you know, plants and everything yet. And, you know, New Orleans Square wouldn't have been there yet. And just to kind of experience that, I think it just would be so different. And I think it would allow me to appreciate today's parks a little bit more. So I think that's when I would go.
I like it.
Yeah. So who has, other than myself, who hasn't asked a question yet? Or is it just me?
I didn't answer that one yet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Lynn, yes.
So my first thought was 1967 because of the Tomorrowland, you know, changes that happened there a lot. But then I started thinking, well, wait a minute, Haunted Mansion wasn't open yet. So I'm going with 1969 because Tomorrowland's only 2 years old, the new Tomorrowland at that time. And then you have Pirates that had just opened 2 years prior. And then Haunted Mansion is brand new. So I think that would be it. Because I also, like Ken had mentioned, the Mine Train is there at that point, so 69. The Golden Horseshoe. So the park is still like its old self, but it's got some of the best things that we now think of Disneyland as, like Pirates and Haunted Mansion. Like, to me, those are the two best things that Disney has ever done, in my opinion. So those things are brand new or newer, and I would love to see everything so clean and just brand new, and every light bulb is working, you know, because it's new, and they check those things more often, it seemed like then, that sort of thing. So I think 1969 for sure.
It's a good year. You guys all have good years.
Man, you're all making me look bad. I want to experience the worst of Disneyland so I can feel the same as all the other disappointed people.
No.
I could be part of the experience, but maybe I should have just said, you know, the golden years, man.
Eric's a glutton for punishment. He wants to see the the terrible things.
Well, it's interesting to think of a year, because another thought I had was, well, a lot of my memories were from when I was a child. Like, I wasn't there in 69, obviously. But the middle of when I was starting to have those memories and enjoy Disneyland as a kid was probably like 85, you know, 86, 87, in those years, right in the middle. That's the memories I have the most of Disneyland as a child. And Adventure Through Inner Space I remember going on, but it's kind of I was still younger then. But I mean, I was probably like 10 or 12 years old, but I don't remember, you know, all the details as much as I would, you know, going now, obviously. But so that was another thought I had, is like, oh, well, those were great memories I had as a kid. That would be cool to revisit those again. But yeah. If I could have a time machine, like Marty, and go back and see myself and my family there. That would be cool. From a distance, watch it. Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So did we all asked?
I think I was the last one that haven't asked a question.
Oh, you haven't?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Perfect.
So I have a couple questions, but I'll start with the more whimsical one, I suppose. If you were to theme a room in your house after a Disneyland land or attraction, which one would you choose? And let's go let's try to reverse some things here. We'll start with Lynn.
Ooh. So theme a room in my house after an attraction? Is that right?
Yep, after a land or an attraction.
I'll just go with my first thought because I was starting to put more thought into it, and I'll just go with my first thing is Haunted Mansion. Because I like wood. I don't like bright rooms. Like some people have all white walls, and that's fine. But I like cozy, darker, dimmer rooms. There's something about it that's comforting to me. And that's what I think of when I think of Haunted Mansion, is that feeling of comfort and just
I feel like that's
lights.
a popular answer.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. And a lot of people have done that. I've seen, you've probably seen them too, YouTube and photos online. People have done their office like Haunted Mansion or a house or whatever. But, yeah. So I have to pick someone else. Ken, how about you?
I think I would go with the. Well, it's no longer there, but the Tower of Terror.
Oh.
Ooh.
It would be.
Is
cool
it that
to
you
have-
just don't want to clean the room?
There you go. You're on to me. You're on to me. It just covers up, all the dust and everything would just be right there in theme. Not Mission Breakout. I don't want it to be Mission Breakout. I want it to be the Hollywood Tower Hotel. Have some butlers at my beck and call, or bellhops. Bellhops. I mean, yes. Yeah, that's. I think that would be a good one because if you can't do the Haunted Mansion, make it the Tower of Terror.
Wow.
So, how about Eric?
Well, I wonder if Teg picked this question because he knows what I have in my house. Right now, I have a guest bedroom themed to Harry Potter. I have a guest bedroom themed to Star Wars.
Oh.
I have a tiki room in my house, although it's not the tiki room. It's not Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room. Although I have a few parrots in there that look like they belong in the space. And I'm working on a Haunted Mansion room. So if I have to, basically all that's left is my own bedroom. And what do I do there? I guess if we're going to just continue the theme, let's represent Fantasyland. And what better to put in my own bedroom than Toad Hall?
Yeah.
Let's get some of that nice wood aesthetic of the classic English mansion, but maybe find some ways to inject some whimsy. Get that nice mural, something like that mural. I love the mural when you get off of the cars in Toad Hall. So maybe go that direction. Teg, you need to round us out here and fess up. Did you put me on the spot with this?
It wasn't because of you, actually.
Oh, okay, good.
And I have this thing that happens when I podcast, and it happened when you were giving your answer, which is my internet decided to cut out while you were giving your answer. So all I heard was you picked this because, and then I came back to Toad Hall. So I don't know what you said in between, but that's okay. I'll just listen to the episode. No, actually, I got this idea because we just interviewed somebody on DL Weekly, Skipper Freddy, and he, before our interview, took us around his house. And so he has a house that's themed to Disneyland. However, his wife wants it to be muted. So if friends come over, they don't look around and think, this is Disney themed. This is a Disney themed house. So what he did was he's got their hallway when they enter is Main Street themed, and there's just some like accents. There's like a park bench and some photos of some old Main Street looking buildings. In his wife's office is Fantasyland. They've got some photos on the wall of there's like a frog, which is kind of reminiscent of Princess and the Frog. There's a shoe picture. So like all of these very subtle. Their kitchen is very futuristic themed. Their backsplash looks kind of like Epcot, Spaceship Earth, and their living room is very retro themed. So very cool and understated. That's what got me thinking about it. But for me, I feel like Adventureland is such a great land to theme of because there's so many cool things that you can do. You can add plants and you can do some tikis and you can do, any type of Indiana Jones kind of thing. I don't know. There's so many options. But I always find myself just really loving Main Street. And my plan in real life, and this isn't a room in the house, is I want to have lights installed on the outside of my house that remind me of the popcorn lighting on Main Street. And I want them to be permanently installed, and I want them so I can control them with an app or something where I can change them to different colors. So during Christmas, they look like Christmas lights, and during, Valentine's Day, they're pink or whatever. But when there's not a holiday, to be that warm popcorn lighting of Main Street, because there's just something comforting to me about that.
Mm-hmm. Good. I like that. Yeah. Although your neighbors wouldn't get it, and they'd say, why does he have his Christmas lights on in July?
Yeah. I told our neighbor about this because we live in a twindo, so we're connected.
Okay.
And she said, whatever you do is fine, but you have to let me know because she wants both sides to match. So I guess if I ever do this, I'll have to get it done on both sides, and then the whole building will look like that, I guess. So we'll see. But like right now, I put lights in for Christmas in the light sockets, like outside the garage and stuff. And they're hue lights. They're not hue lights. They're similar to hue lights that you can change the colors on. And during Christmas, they were red and green. And so now I have them pink because the next holiday coming up is Valentine's Day, so they are pink right now.
Cool.
And then I'll change them to green and all that. So
I like it. Well,
but not the same. Not Main Street look.
Not quite.
All right. Well, I think we all were able to ask a question and give our answers, and that was a lot of fun. I want to give an opportunity for you guys to plug everything you're doing. And Tage, I know that you're the one of the hosts of the DL Weekly along with the Hub Crawl. So how can people follow you and hear your stuff?
I mean, this is going to be a reverse shout out here, Lynn. We had that question about guests on the show, and I do want to give some credit of success for DL Weekly with our interviews lately to Lynn, because Lynn has put us in contact with quite a few people that we've actually ended up interviewing, and so we really appreciate that, Lynn. And if it wasn't for you and Ken and some of your connections with things, we wouldn't have got some of the great people we have on our podcast. And I know that it's important for you, just as it is important for us, that some podcasters like to kind of keep things close to the vest, but we both kind of have that feeling of we're all a great Disney community. We can all share information and stuff, and it's been great to kind of have, because the stuff you guys talk about is different than the stuff we talk about. Why can't people listen to both and get like a full rounded thing about somebody? So thank you so much for that. But you can catch us on the DL Weekly podcast. It's me and my friend Teresa. We've been doing that for quite a while. Over at dlweekly.net, you can find us by searching for DL Weekly Podcast on any podcasting client. Of course, Eric, who is here with us, co-hosts. I co-host that with him for the Hub Crawl, which is a roundtable podcast where we invite two people every week or every other week, and everybody brings a question, much like we did today. and we go around and answer each other's questions and kind of talk about Disney. And sometimes we stay on topic, and sometimes we don't stay on topic. You can get that at thehubcrawl.com, and also find that wherever you search for podcasts. And now I get to listen to Eric talk about the 7 podcasts he's in partnership with.
Yeah.
It's only 6.
Wow.
Actually, yeah. Let's see here. Clearly I'm on the Hub Crawl, and you'll hear me on this episode in the D180 with Concy Ears. Lynn, I emailed you the link to the latest file.
Oh, thanks.
Just a couple hours ago. I recorded it last night and edited it this afternoon.
Awesome.
So people are probably familiar with my voice at this point, but I also do a few shows.
Eric,
What?
Eric,
Oh,
what
yeah.
is your updated title now?
Well, before I was the director of communications with Concy Ears, but now I'm the vice president of marketing with Concy Ears. So thanks for calling that out, Tag. This is a recent announcement with the company.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Congratulations. All right.
That's the proper honorific. Yes. Well, we've had some changes at Concy Ears lately, and it's about, it's kind of about giving a lot of the people that have made the company what it is, giving us and giving the other. I guess I'm saying us because I'm part of it, but giving a lot of people that have made this company what it is their due. We've all been working very hard with this company for years, and I do have to give a shout out to the Sweep Spot again, because I found out about Concy Ears through the D180 on the Sweep Spot many years ago. I guess in those early days of the Sweep Spot, or not the Sweep Spot, of the D180 on the Sweep Spot. Yeah. And somehow I ended up working with the company, and it's a great group of people to work with, and I'm very proud of what we've done as a company, and I'm very happy that we continue to have a relationship with the Sweep Spot and with Deal Weekly too. We also have a relationship with a podcast group called Ears Up Podcast. I know Ken and Lynn, you've been interviewed by Jason on Ears Up a while back.
Yeah,
and that was one of those interviews where I went, oh, the 2 podcasts I listen to converge. And now I'm on a few shows with them. I am one of the co-hosts on the Supreme Resort, where we compare and contrast Disney World versus Disneyland. We get a little competitive, so if I get a little feisty every once in a while, it's because that's the show. That's the show, literally, is comparing and contrasting those 2 resorts. But I'm also on the main show, Ears Up Podcast, at this point. One of their hosts left recently, and I stepped up to take his spot. So I've been on that show for about a year now as well. So I'm kind of all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Wow. Hosts can leave podcasts?
Hey,
why would they ever want to? So,
I don't know, but
maybe it's because they don't have the spread that Lynn, this wonderful craft services spread that Lynn has for us here.
That's probably it. It's very important to have a good charcuterie plate for all of the guests.
Did I miss that on the way in? I think I missed that on the way in.
Yeah, catch it on the way out.
Okay.
Ken and I ate most of it. Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, it was great.
I see how it is.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. I had a lot of fun.
We did too.
Yeah, definitely.
It was great.
Wow. What an episode again, right, Ken?
Yeah. So many more questions that we could have asked and answered, but those will have to wait for another time. And, please, if you haven't done so already, leave a review. If you like this podcast, or, if you've listened to more than one episode, go ahead and leave a review where you can, especially if you can do it at Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
Leave a review for the Sweep Spot, as it really does help us.
We challenge you.
Yeah.
We put you to the challenge. We need more reviews because it does put us up higher in the search results when someone puts in Disneyland. And it's not really like a chart thing, but if you put in Disneyland, there's other podcasts there, and it'd be cool if we were up closer to the top. And I don't know if that's what does it. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But anyways.
So help us out that way.
Yeah.
You can also help us out by joining our Patreon. Next episode, again, will be a current events episode like we do every other week. And, once a month, our Patreon supporters do join us for those chats about what's been happening at the resorts nowadays. So go ahead and look that up. All this information is at our website, thesweepspot.com. You can click through there. You can get our books. You can click through to get shirts and mugs and other great stuff that has some really great artwork on it that I think you'll like, especially if you're a fan of Disneyland, which you probably are.
Great. All right. Well, thank you for listening, and we'll talk with you next time.